What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate y'all being here. As the title of the video basically describes or says, the topic of the video itself will be discussing the new hero that IGG has released, which is Marco and Erica, or Eri. And we're going to kind of dive into it and take a look at the character design and some of my thoughts on it. And really just kind of covering the different aspects, I guess, of the character itself on a deeper dive and how you might utilize it, or in my case, not utilize it. I have some thoughts around that, which we'll definitely explore. Before diving into the video itself, though, just as a quick reminder, this may come as a refresher for some people. For a lot of people, though, because I still kind of get messages on it, this might be like the first time you're hearing it. I apologize for not uploading a ton of videos and stuff. I started my new job about 2 weeks ago. I made an official career pivot within the career field that I'm in itself, staying in the same realm of the tech space and engineering and such, but a little bit more fine-tuned and specific in terms of like what my overall scope is and what my defined work area kind of is. So I changed companies. And this is the end of week 2 with the new company and everything. So really excited about that. But I've just been elbow deep in work, and really for the weeks and couple months prior to was really just a lot of studying and obviously applications, interviewing, panel interviews, and those types of things. So I've just been terribly, terribly busy, and I do apologize for that. I have not forgotten about you guys. You guys do a wonderful job of supporting the channel, supporting the videos, supporting the live streams, and I cannot begin to tell you guys just, thank you enough for that. You guys have really taken this channel to a whole different level than I originally started out with it. I think if you look back at some of my earlier videos on the channel itself, I really just kind of took my previous passion and from over a decade ago being a Twitch streamer and content creator and video editor for some of the bigger Call of Duty clans, and I really just kind of brought that into this game and edited montages and mini edits and stuff like that of events. But it is clear that you guys have a longing within the community itself for maybe a little bit more of like a technical dive on some of the different aspects and points of the game, and I would love to be able to continue to do those things. However, my attention and focus really is just 100% at work right now. Obviously, being 2 weeks in, just want to come into the gate, come in swinging, hit the ground running as quick as possible, and just leave as good of an impression as possible. You only have one chance to leave a first impression, right? Is what I believe, and so I always try to put my best foot forward to put my best efforts there, and leave a good impression at least coming out the gate and such. So yeah, no. Again, I appreciate you guys supporting the channel, supporting me, reaching out, and just checking in, kind of wondering where I'm at and stuff. And again, I do apologize for not being able to be as consistent as maybe I'd like to, as maybe as you guys would like me to be. But I anticipate that sometime here in the near future, as my responsibilities kind of level out at work and I kind of get into more of the routine of things and such, I'll have a little bit more free time and mental capacity to do that. But at the end of the day, after work and stuff, I'm usually just pretty mentally drained from onboarding and diving into some of the projects that I'll be working on. And so I usually like to just unwind with my little one and hang out with her, which is why like the streams that I had for Archipelago Raid this last round, I definitely didn't stream nearly as much as maybe I'm kind of used to, or you guys are used to. That's kind of just why I'm usually just hanging out with the little one, spending some time with her, since that's what I enjoy doing in my free time as well. But without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into it here. This is the new hero, Marco and Eri, or Erica. And let's take a look at some of the things here. I'm sure a lot of y'all have had the chance to kind of go over their skills or over the hero skills itself. I'm sure, as a lot of you have noticed, this is going to be an expensive hero like May was, where you can exchange 2 general golden fragments for one of theirs. And oh man, IGG, like how do I put this? To me, if you are going to require from somebody 2 golden relics, where it takes, I believe it's 680 golden fragments or relics, I keep calling them relics, but they're fragments, 680 golden fragments to awaken a hero from just unlocking them, basically. having somebody spend 1,360 golden fragments, unless they're actually like spending money and participating in the event to get the fragments that way, is a ridiculous amount already out the gate to request of somebody. Very unrealistic for your average player to unlock and within any reasonable time. And if you're going to be doing something like that, like really obviously keep balance to the game, but you, at least for mine, if I'm going to spend on something, I would hope that what I'm spending on is gives me some form of a little bit more of a benefit than, you know, if I'm spending for another hero that doesn't require the same amount, because this is an obnoxious amount of fragments required, like when you think about it, to unlock the hero itself, again, unless you're spending within the event itself to get the direct fragments so that you don't have to use the general ones. And to me, before we dive into these skills altogether, this is a very, very, very underwhelming hero altogether. I was very excited, and I think this is why quite a few people reached out, is I am an infantry main player, right? Like, I'm a garrison main player. Infantry is my niche. It's what I've primarily invested in. It's kind of the area that I know best. And so I was very excited, anticipating a new infantry hero to come out with some of the recent ones that have come out for the other troop types. And needless to say, this was a major disappointment on my end, to the point where I may get the 10 fragments to unlock the hero, but I may not even do that. And if I do, it'll simply be to unlock it. I won't be investing it into it like whatsoever, regardless of any other factors. But yeah, let's take a quick look at the actual skills themselves. With the talent trees, it's an infantry general skills, so you already see that in Adut, Miyamoto, Miyamoto. I believe Robert as well has the same thing. So nothing special there. It's already talent trees that you're kind of used to. So if you're running any of those other heroes and you do plan on running this, you can anticipate to use the same talent tree. So I don't really need to dive into that side. But with the skills themselves, so first skill, the rage skill, explosive shots, deals damage to the enemy target, so single target, and reduces rage of up to 5 nearby enemies by up to 80, dealing direct damage factor of up to 13,000. This effect can be triggered on the same target only once in 5 seconds. Not necessarily too much of a concern on the 5 seconds part, since really, even with the skill talent tree, you can expect them to proc their rage skill at most every 6 seconds, on average about every 7 to 8 seconds. So yeah, you really shouldn't have to worry about the being triggered on the same target once in 5 seconds by yourself as a solo player, or as you're worrying about your own squad marches and stuff. You don't really have to worry about that latter part. The rage reduction is kind of cool, kind of a decent factor there. Single target, so nothing too crazy or nothing really right home about here. This to me is the best skill out of all 5 of them. The next 4 are very underwhelming, and I'll dive into detail. We'll cover all 4 of these first, and then we'll go into detail as to why I think that. Electronic interference, counterattacks have a 30% chance to reduce HP of up to 5 targets, or up to 5 nearby enemies by up to 47% for 3 seconds. This effect can be triggered only once in 5 seconds. At face value, it's pretty decent. 47% reduction in HP is no small number, where HP is such a critical piece of your 3 stats: attack, defense, and HP. A 47% reduction in that overall is a pretty hefty amount. But there's a huge limitation factor here, to where this skill pretty much becomes useless when you think about it. Steel armor, every 10 seconds grant a shield to oneself for 2 seconds. Shield factor up to 3,300. Also reduces travel speed and damage of up to 5 nearby enemies by up to 35% in the travel speed, and damage reduction of 16% respectively for 3 seconds. So 10-second proc, 3 seconds of effectiveness on the debuff, 2 seconds of a shield to yourself. Same thing. We'll kind of get into why this is kind of meh in a little bit. Well, actually, we don't really need to. It's every 10 seconds. And when you think about it, there's a lot of fights where, yes, especially when you're fighting in clustered groups or large groups of enemies and such, that the fights can be prolonged and go on for a while, so you might be able to get quite a few of these every 10-second procs. However, considering that you can only proc it every 10 seconds, and the effectiveness of the damage reduction to enemies and the travel speed and stuff only lasts for about a third of that, you're really running about a 66% effective downtime while you're waiting for the actual skill to proc again automatically. So, I mean, I'm already not like, I'm not saying like we need to bring that every 10 seconds down. I'm just saying that like the fact that it only lasts for 3 seconds and this effectively is all that it does is provide a small shield for yourself and then reduce like the travel speed and damage for 3 seconds. It's again very fairly underwhelming, because I can also think about plenty of times, and I'm sure you can yourself, if you're fighting in like Archipelago Raid or any other event where you're around bases, around towers, you're rallying or sieging into enemy towers, they're sieging into yours, how many times players will pop out of bases to hit marches and then pop back in when they get targeted, or if you're in the field, you're fighting for a bit, and then as soon as the tide starts to turn or the momentum starts to shift, the fight disengages rather quickly. So the fact that you have to wait 10 seconds for this one to actually proc itself, yeah, I mean, it's very hit and miss how effective this will actually be, considering like all you have to do is just, I don't know, really like avoid the elongated fights basically to avoid, getting your damage reduced altogether as a whole. Fourth skill here, Slug Firepower. During field battles, squad attack is increased by 27% and travel speed is increased by up to 22%. It's fairly solid. It's just a passive skill, as it says here. Passive skill, so you're just going to passively get that, which is great. The reason why for this, in terms of this skill, why this is kind of a meh for me, is because it is limited. There's a few things in terms of like skills and talents that I'm personally not too big of a fan of. For one, it's the ones where it requires your troop count or squad size to be below 66% or 30%, that kind of a thing, under 50%. Those skills and talents, the ones that require you to be in a field battle or in a siege or in a garrison, not necessarily because of those factors themselves. Like, I think that it's great to have unique skills and talents for siege, for garrison, for field battles and such, but where a lot of these other skills are already underwhelming, the fact that you're restricting these buffs, especially like the 27% attack, to being in the field, makes to where you'll never see this hero basically in garrison or in a rally, because again, the other skills are already very underwhelming and not as nearly as effective in those other two roles. And then this being another limiter to field battle just kind of amplifies that even more. So I guess what I'm getting at is that the overall effectiveness of a hero, because when you look at a hero, I also like to look, am I using this just in field? Can I use it in field and garrison? Can I use it in field, garrison, and rally? Or, what kind of a hybrid mix can I use it for? You're really taking away from the fact that this hero can be used in a hybrid state or in a hybrid setting, and really constricting it just to the field, and which is totally fine. But again, because the other skills are also very underwhelming, this doesn't really add much flavor or value to the hero itself in my eyes. And then finally, the Awaken skill itself, Rescue Reward. When taking a skill damage, there's a 50% chance to restore HP to 3 nearby allies. This effect can be triggered only once in 5 seconds. I'm not a fan of healing skills. I think anybody that's a seasoned player, veteran, knowledgeable in these games, comes from Rise of Kingdoms in the background, anything like that, knows that healing is pretty much just useless. It's a wasted skill. It's a wasted skill slot. There's really no benefit to it at all. In terms of like your overall combat effectiveness. Yes, you can kind of keep some, replenish some of the lightly wounded troops, and then thus you're getting a little bit more damage output, but at the same time you're also filling up your hospital more, because if 1,000 troops of yours go into lightly wounded and then you heal back 500 of them, not all of those 500 that were restored back from lightly wounded are going to end back up as lightly wounded. There's a percentage of those that are going to end up as heavily wounded, so you're filling up your hospital even faster. So to me, the fact that it's a healing skill for an Awakened skill, is specifically an Awakened skill. You have to awaken this hero. You have to spend 680 fragments on it, or 1,360 regular fragments, or a mix of, just to get a healing factor skill is kind of stupid, honestly. Like, this is terrible. I'm just going to be outright and say it. This is terrible character design. I'm sorry. It requires you to take skill damage for once. You have to be targeted, or taking AoE skill damage from a Louis or a Miyamoto, that kind of a thing, or a Mei from the rider side. So you can proc it by being indirectly targeted, but you have to really, at the end of the day, have to be targeted in order to trigger this, and that is like at the cost of you awakening the hero. Back here, again, we already talked about the limitation of this being during field battle, so don't expect these buffs in rallies or garrisons. So you get the loss of effectiveness there. Every 10 seconds being here for the timer, that's reduces the effectiveness of this highly, because that is a very long period of time to be waiting in combat. That's 10 combat turns, before you see it proc again, and so that's that's not that great to me. And then this one here, the reason why this, even though the HP reduction is so high, this is so easily avoidable, because to me, the fact that it requires counterattacks having a 30% chance, if you go back to my video talking about the rally and the garrisons and how combat works and such, if you are 5 swarming a march, and so let's say you're isolating a march out in the field and you're just going to swarm it with 5 of your marches, unless that march is targeting the march that has this troop pair in it or this hero in it, this will never proc. So to me, if I'm out in the field and I'm fighting with a group of people, I'm paying attention to see which one of their marches has this hero in it. And if this hero is triggered, and you can see it when they use their rage skill, the first hero, the primary hero in their march will fire off the rage skill, and then you see the little icon of the secondary hero that they have behind them, or the hero assistant, pop up to use their rage skill. If I ever see this hero in the field, I will just simply tell myself, do not target that march. And I'm going to tell my whole alliance to do the same thing. Do not target this march. Why? Because as long as nobody is targeting this march will never deal counter damage. Even if you're getting targeted by it, it's dealing basic damage to you, but it only does counter damage if it's being attacked by basic attacks. They swing with a basic attack, you swing with a counter attack. If you're swinging on a march and they're not attacking you, you're dealing basic attack damage and you're taking counter attack damage, but you're not dealing counter attacks to marches that you're not actually being targeted by. So an easy avoidance of this for any player or any group is simply do not target this march, and you'll never have to worry about the reduction in HP proccing to you. So hit the other 4 marches, wipe them out, send them back to base, and then leave this one in the field. Just walk away. Then you don't have to worry about the 47% HP reduction being procced onto your own marches. So again, I think to kind of like just take everything and put it all together, if I was to put this hero on a tier list, this would be down in the C, maybe even D rank. And actually, I'd be more inclined to put it in the D rank, not just because of like the performance of the hero itself, but the fact that it's so expensive. If this hero was just a TC hero, and especially if it was just like a roulette hero, then maybe I would bump it up to a C. But the fact that it's so expensive to get this hero, and the skills are so underwhelming or avoidable, and the awakened skill is so disappointing, this is terrible, 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 and poor character design. There's nothing that this character brings to the field and to the table that isn't already offered and isn't more beneficial. You're going to get more benefit out of a Miyamoto with an AoE skill damage or rage skill. You're going to get more effect out of a Dut with her skill talent tree as well, but then also upon receiving skill damage, reduces the skill damage for all of your other marches up to 5 squads by 20%. With your Roberts and your Eddies, with where is he at here? Let me pull up my Eddie. With your Eddie, his Awakened skill, when the shield is broken, reduces the HP of up to 3 nearby enemy squads by 20%. That procs with his primary rage skill shield. That procs with both the shields on Riven. That procs with the shield on Raigoro. Sure, it'll proc with the shield on this pair as well, but it's an expensive secondary hero to have, or a primary hero to have. So there's just so many other benefits that come from the other infantry heroes that it's not even remotely near worth spending for this one in my eyes. I think it's terrible, and I think it's poor character design. And really that's kind of all I have to say to it. I'm already I have my own kind of reserved feelings about IGG and what they're doing currently, and I side with a lot of the other players in terms of a lot of the greed factor that's coming out from what they're doing. And I think this is a testament to that. I think that this shows, like they're putting out heroes, and they're consistently pushing things that are very expensive to get, like this, and very underwhelming. I think that one of the things that they did push out recently that is a spending factor that is a good addition is the Cynthia and Kath skins. The skins themselves are extremely strong and completely change the way that the heroes operate and bring a significant buff to the amount of damage and effectiveness and output that Kath and Cynthia offer. However, because the skins are so much stronger than the Louis skin, I think that it's a complete slap in the face to the people that bought and spent for the Louis skin. Not only that, but they brought out that special event bundle or whatever have you that you could spend. I think it was like $375 and get both skins for Cath and Synth. And again, the effectiveness of that is so strong. And then you compare it to, they didn't do something like that for Louis. You had to use the roulette event or whatever have you that they had, that little game mode, and it was stupid expensive to get. And the effectiveness of it isn't even remotely close to Cath and Cynthia. So to me, it just feels like they're pushing content to push content. And there are some of the ones that slip through the cracks that are good in terms of like what you invest in, how much you get out, like the Cath and Cynthia skins. But the Louis skin and now Marco and Ari are prime examples of not. It's just pushing something to push something to get money. And the design behind it is terrible. It's not an effective hero. It doesn't bring anything new to the table, or a new style of gameplay and a new style of meta basically on the field or in garrisons or in rallies, like they had with Chasey for rider garrisons, or Bard with a super effective hero for range rallies and such. You know, those brought out some new aspects and new dynamic to the game and a new threat. This is none of that. And so honestly, that's my thoughts on it, and I'm very curious to hear what your guys' thoughts are on this hero as well. And if you guys kind of feel the same way, maybe you don't, maybe I'm overlooking something. Maybe this hero is a lot more effective than I'm making it out to be. But to me, the most effective part here is the reduction in enemy HP. That's a significant reduction, but the fact that it's dependent on counterattacks, it's so easily avoidable to make sure that this doesn't proc from an enemy's perspective. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Comment down below. Yeah, I would love to hear it, and definitely conversate. I'll definitely reply to the comments there, and just, yeah, let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys as always. You guys have a wonderful day, wonderful weekend, wonderful extended weekend if you have one, the holiday weekend, and look forward to talking to you guys in the next one. See you guys later.